Welcome to the Daily Vibecasting.
Hey everyone.
Today, Ethereum is plotting a massive quantum-resistant rebuild. The open-source AI wars heat up with a surprise strike from Tencent, and we are asking if the 40-something founder is the new, undisputed king of Silicon Valley. We are taking you through the day's most vital signals.
There's a lot of noise today, especially in infrastructure.
Right, exactly. And our mission on this deep dive is to cut right through that noise. We want to show you exactly where the capital and really the leverage are shifting right now. So let's just dive right into the ultimate legacy system in crypto.
Yeah, let's do it.
We are tracking this huge, totally viral post from the account Watcher Bureau. It's detailing Vitalik Buterin's new roadmap, which they are calling Lean Ethereum.
Which is quite a name for what it actually is.
Seriously, it reads less like a software update and a lot more like a sci-fi novel. They're framing this as the most fundamental protocol overhaul since the merge back in 2022. But looking at the scope of these promises, it sounds, anything but lean.
Oh, it's an incredibly heavy lift. We're watching this fascinating generational clash across literally every sector right now. Legacy systems are just desperately trying to survive.
Right, and Ethereum is basically the quintessential legacy system in this space at this point.
Exactly, and they are promising this ground-up redesign of the consensus, the execution, and the data layers all at once.
Okay, but what does that actually look like in practice? Because they're throwing around these massive terms, like quantum-resistant cryptography by 2029, built-in privacy, scalable state storage, and sub-second finality.
Yeah, it's a lot of buzzwords.
It is. What is the actual mechanism here that takes Ethereum from its current, let's be honest, somewhat clunky state to this utopian vision?
So the linchpin of this entire roadmap is their pivot to Stark proofs. And to understand why this matters for you listening, think of a Stark proof kind of like a bartender checking your ID.
Okay, I like that.
Right. The bartender doesn't need to know your home address or your weight or, your eye color. They just need cryptographic proof that you are over 21.
So it strips out all the heavy data.
Precisely. By transitioning to Starks, the Ethereum network can verify millions of complex smart contract interactions instantly without dragging around all that heavy underlying data of those actual transactions.
That makes sense. It shrinks the data footprint immensely.
Yep.
Huh.
And that is how you theoretically achieve that sub-second finality where a transaction settles, faster than a human heartbeat.
Okay, I understand the technical theory, but let me push back on the reality of this for a second.
Go for it.
They are promising sub-second finality and quantum resistance by 2029. Right.
Right.
All while maintaining backward compatibility for literally every app currently running on the network. Yet we know the Ethereum Foundation is actively making significant staff and budget cuts right now.
Yeah, the timing is suspicious.
Is it actually feasible? Are they genuinely going to rebuild the engine of a commercial airliner while it's in flight with half the engineering crew? Or is this just a desperate narrative pivot to distract from faster-moving Layer 1 rivals that are just eating their lunch?
So here's the cynical read, and I think it's the accurate one. This is the classic innovator's dilemma playing out in real time.
Okay, break that down.
The reality is that newer, faster-moving Layer 1 networks are currently crushing Ethereum when it comes to speed and retail user experience. And when an aging tech giant is threatened by fast upstarts, their instinct is almost always to announce this massive, multi-year, utopian roadmap.
It's like vaporware.
Basically, yeah, it's a survival tactic. It's the equivalent of an aging rock band announcing a 5-year experimental concept album, just to distract from the fact that they're playing half-empty arenas today.
Wow, so they are just trying to freeze the market.
Exactly. They want developers to pause and think, why build on a competitor today when Ethereum will be absolutely perfect in 2029?
So it's a narrative moat. They are using the promise of future infrastructure to stop capital from bleeding out today.
That's exactly what it is.
But, while Ethereum is playing defense, trying to build a moat over in the AI sector, Tencent is playing aggressive offense by basically trying to destroy everyone else's moat.
Oh, yeah, this is huge today.
It's a massive bombshell. There's a post from the user Tier Taxes Text. Tencent just dropped a 295 billion parameter open source model called Aishi 3.
Out of nowhere, too.
Right. It runs on a basic GQA architecture, and it is actively beating GLM 5.1 in blind tests across coding, search, and STEM tasks.
The benchmark scores are seriously impressive. But honestly, the architecture is what makes it a weapon.
You mean the GQA?
Yeah, group query attention. Instead of an AI having to, scan every single word it has ever processed just to answer your prompt. GQA allows the model to group its memories into broader concepts.
So it's way more efficient.
Drastically. It reduces the memory load, which speeds up generation while keeping the compute costs shockingly low. But, I mean, the real story here isn't the architecture. It's the licensing.
The Apache 2.0 license.
Exactly. Tencent released HY3 under a fully permissive Apache 2.0 license.
I want to challenge this strategy, though, because releasing under Apache 2.0 means literally anyone can use this commercially without paying Tencent a single dime.
Yep, not a cent.
You just called this an aggressive offensive play, but how is giving away a model that costs, hundreds of millions of dollars to train a ruthless strategy? Aren't they just burning cash to look like good open source citizens?
You have to take that a step further and look at the second order effects, because this has absolutely nothing to do with altruism.
Okay, so what's the play?
If I am Tencent and I give you a world-class, enterprise-grade AI for free, you're going to build your entire company's software ecosystem around my specific architecture. I have just commoditized the model layer.
So if the smartest model is free, nobody pays the closed labs in the West for API access anymore.
Precisely. It absolutely destroys the pricing power of companies like OpenAI. And once an enterprise builds its internal tooling on Tencent's free model, when they inevitably need, enterprise cloud support, custom server integrations, or specialized security,
Who are they forced to call?
Tencent. Exactly. They give away the foundation, so you become a permanent tenant on their land.
That's ruthless.
It forces the entire industry to compete on infrastructure and services rather than hoarding proprietary model weights.
Wow. Okay, so if Tencent is successfully commoditizing the model layer, OpenAI is clearly feeling the panic to redefine what makes their models valuable. Which brings us to the absolute mystery surrounding OpenAI this morning.
Oh, this is a weird one.
Very weird. We're tracking a fascinating thread from Daniel McAde and Pauzard regarding OpenAI's new lineup. They announced GPT 5.6 Sol, Terra, and Luna. They announced these massive new models, but they only released a single industry benchmark. They released Terminal Bench 2.1, where the Sol Ultra model hits a staggering 91.9%. But that is literally the only report card they showed the public.
Which is unheard of.
It's like the kid who eats their homework, right?
Yeah.
Are they hiding bad results, or have we reached a point where traditional benchmarks are just useless for real-world deployment? Why are they hiding the rest of the results?
In this industry, releasing a flagship model without a comprehensive wall of benchmark comparisons it's practically a scandal.
People are definitely freaking out.
Yeah, people immediately assume the model is failing traditional reasoning tests. But the post from Ongasib reveals the actual mechanism behind OpenAI's strategy here. It's not about the benchmark at all.
It's about the hardware.
Exactly. It's about the hardware layer. GPT 5.6 Sol is heavily optimized to run on Cerebra's hardware.
And for you listening, standard top-tier models currently output at roughly 70 to 100 tokens per second. But Anga Esby is reporting that GPT 5.6 Sol on Cerebras is going to run at 750 tokens per second.
Which is just an order of magnitude leap.
How is that physically possible?
So standard AI chips are, the size of a postage stamp. They waste massive amounts of latency just moving data back and forth from the memory banks to the processor.
Right.
But Cerebras builds a chip the size of an entire dinner plate.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The processor and the memory literally live in the exact same house. That completely eliminates the commute time for the data.
So OpenAI is basically saying, we don't care if we score 2 points lower on some old math benchmark because at 750 tokens per second, latency just dies.
Exactly.
You are no longer waiting for a text generation. You are streaming thought faster than human comprehension. At that speed, real-time AI video game companions stop being clunky tech demos and become seamless living products.
It's utility and speed over theoretical scoring. They're betting that if the AI feels entirely native and alive to the user, the benchmarks simply do not matter anymore.
But Anthropic is going in the exact opposite direction. If OpenAI is betting on blistering speed, Anthropic is betting on bottomless depth.
Yeah, they are taking a totally different swing.
There is a post from Rohan Pillai quoting Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei. He stated that a 100 million word context window is technically possible right now.
That number is just hard to wrap your head around.
It is. Just to contextualize that for you listening, 100 million words is roughly everything a human being hears in their entire lifetime.
It fundamentally changes how we interact with machines. Like, instead of having to fine-tune a model's weights over months to teach it something new, you just dump the entire history of your company, every code base, every email, every financial record, directly into the prompt.
The model just does in-context learning in real time.
Exactly. But the technical hurdle there is massive. The mechanism to actually pull that off requires incredibly advanced vector embedding. It's not reading the library sequentially. It's using an incredibly precise spatial map to instantly pull the exact sentence it needs from a lifetime of text.
And they want us to believe these models are reasoning through that massive pile of data just like we do. There was a massive leak shared by the user, Mark.
Oh, the reasoning trace.
Yes, it shows what appears to be the internal chain of thought reasoning trace of Anthropic's Fable 5. And this trace, it shows the model using highly verbose, human-like English to deliberate on a user query.
Which is fascinating to read.
It really is. It is actively debating itself, weighing whether to use an accuser input tool versus a visualization widget. It literally reads like a senior developer talking to themselves at a whiteboard.
See, I am deeply skeptical that this was an accidental leak.
Really? You think it's a calculated flex?
Absolutely. Reasoning traces are the secret sauce. They're the most guarded intellectual property inside these labs. They don't just leak.
So why leak it then?
The enterprise market is terrified of AI hallucinating or acting unpredictably, right? Leaking a trace that looks remarkably human, rather than some alien mathematical logic, serves to convince Fortune 500 boards that these models possess reliable, human-like judgment.
That makes total sense. It's marketing disguised as a leak.
Exactly. But we really need to look at Jan LeCun's critique, which kind of dominated the replies to Amadeus' post.
Right. The chief AI scientist at Meta, what's his take?
LeCun argues that processing 100 million simplified text symbols is basically a parlor trick if the model lacks physical world grounding. A human child accumulates dense visual, spatial, and tactile data.
They experience the world.
Right. A machine can read every physics textbook ever written about riding a bicycle. But without physical grounding, it still doesn't know how to balance on one.
It's the difference between a map and the actual territory.
Exactly.
But whether it understands the physical world or not, the data alone is doing real damage or creating real value in the economy today. Let's pivot to what these agents are actually executing right now, because the agentic economy is officially here.
It's moving so fast.
It is. The CEO of Abacus AI, Bean Burretti, posted a demo of their Fable model literally one-shotting a complex 3D browser game called Neon Eclipse. From a single prompt, the AI generated procedural neon visuals, audio, and gameplay controls.
Using their supercomputer in max mode. And it isn't just generating new sandbox code either. It's handling deep legacy architecture.
Yeah, look at the report from Kimenismus. Amar Reshi, a lead product designer at Google, used Anthropic's Fable 5 to natively port the 2003 video game engine for Command & Conquer, generals directly to iOS.
On ARM64 architecture.
With zero emulation, which is insane. For context, usually when you play an old game on a new device, a software emulator is running in the background, translating the old code in real time, which eats up massive computing power.
It's incredibly inefficient.
Right. But Fable 5 didn't translate it. It ingested the legacy C++ codebase and entirely rewrote the underlying architecture for a modern iPad chip in one go.
It preserved the campaign modes, created custom touch controls, and compiled it natively. I mean, if an AI can seamlessly untangle a 20-year-old C++ engine, the cost of writing syntax is plummeting to near zero.
Which begs the ultimate question for your listening. If AI writes the code, what is your value? Where does the leverage actually go?
That is the million-dollar question.
This brings us to a viral concept coined by Y Combinator's Gary Tan. He calls it the gentleman unicorn founder.
I love this concept.
Tan argues that founders in their 40s, he highlights Bryant Chow of Ploy as an example, are becoming the new undisputed elite of Silicon Valley because code is cheap, their taste, their deep industry pattern recognition, and their domain expertise allow them to act as directors for massive software factories of AI agents.
This is a profound shift in capital allocation. I mean, for 2 decades, Silicon Valley rewarded youthful speed above everything else.
The 20-something hacker in a hoodie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The kid who could stay up for 3 days drinking Red Bull and writing boilerplate code had the massive advantage. But when youthful speed and execution are commoditized by AI, that advantage completely evaporates.
Because the AI is faster than any 20-something.
Right. The older founders have spent 15 years experiencing the real, nuanced pain points of an industry. AI is essentially a bulldozer. A 20-year-old with a bulldozer will just dig a giant hole really, really fast.
But they don't know why they're digging it.
Right. A 40-year-old architect will use it to dig a foundation. They reduce the slop of AI generation because they actually know what a finished, valuable product looks like.
I love the bulldozer analogy. But let me push back on this because polymarket data is showing a massive counter trend right now.
Oh, the student startups?
Yeah. College students are increasingly ditching their summer corporate internships. They are staying in their dorms to build AI startups because API access is cheap and they can spin up applications in a weekend. Isn't there immense value in that rapid iteration? Just testing the market instantly.
Look, they are testing the market with hollow tools. These students think they are accelerating their careers by skipping the corporate ladder, which they just view as low-value busy work.
Right, they want to be the CEO on day one.
But without the scar tissue of structured team experience, without understanding how to manage stakeholders or deal with compliance, they are just building features masquerading as businesses.
They lack the deep industry context.
Exactly. So they ship a weekend API wrapper that solves a surface-level problem, and it is destined to fail because they don't actually understand the market they are trying to disrupt. The capability to build is no longer the bottleneck. The bottleneck is knowing exactly what is worth building.
That is so true. But if students are skipping internships to build these hollow apps, what is happening to the educational institutions they came from?
They are struggling.
Big time. This ties directly into our next signal. There's a post from fascination quoting OpenAI's Ryan Brewer, who was expressing shock that education hasn't fundamentally restructured itself since ChatGPT launched.
It is kind of wild that nothing's really changed.
The post features a clip of Sam Altman warning that continuing to teach students in a pre-AGI paradigm will lead to a massive atrophy of critical thinking.
Well, the technological capability is completely detached from the institutional structures meant to manage it. But if you want to understand the mechanism behind why schools haven't changed, you have to look at the psychology of institutions.
Okay, unpack that.
Alex Hormozy recently shared a quote from Jonathan Ross that perfectly diagnoses this paralysis. He said, "The first job of change management is to make it feel like it isn't a change."
That cuts right to the bone.
It really does. It is the core of human resistance. Institutions, particularly educational ones, are immune systems designed to kill foreign bodies. And AGI is the ultimate foreign body.
It demands too much adaptation.
It demands a top-to-bottom redesign of curriculum, grading, pedagogy, everything. So the institution just rejects it. They will ban it or pretend it doesn't exist, rather than endure the massive friction of adapting to it.
So, if the institutions refuse to endure the friction, the tech companies are basically forced to smuggle the change in quietly.
Yes, and we are seeing this happen in real time.
Exactly. The Venture Twins account pointed out how Google's AI overviews suddenly became incredibly useful, like an Ask Maps feature, right in the search results.
Without making a big deal out of it.
Right. Google didn't ask anyone to learn a new interface. They didn't ask users to change their search habits. They just quietly upgraded the underlying engine, completely masking the disruption.
You have to remove the psychological barrier. Another brilliant example of this is from Reece Sullivan, highlighting Exo AI Labs.
Oh, this is so smart.
Setting up ATI environments is traditionally a huge friction point for developers. It's a tedious, boring chore. So Exo AI hacks human motivation by getting developers to complete their setup by casually offering them $10 in API credits at the very end of the flow.
They turned onboarding into a frictionless, rewarding game.
Yep, they are masking the change.
But here is the fascinating twist on all of this. Some people actually want the friction. They actively seek out the conflict to cope with the disruption.
This is my favorite post of the day.
Mine too. The Primogen posted about an emerging fierce debate in the developer community over whether or not software engineers should read AI-generated code. And he nailed the psychology. He said developers are treating AI code review like the old tabs versus spaces argument. It's the new React debate.
It is entirely performative tribalism. I mean, you think about the generational theme we've been tracking today.
The legacy system's trying to survive.
Exactly. Developers are facing an existential shift where their core skill-writing syntax is literally being automated. Instead of grappling with that terrifying reality, they retreat into familiar tribal warfare.
They want to argue about something they understand.
They desperately need a new holy war to fight because the conflict provides a sense of identity and control in an environment that is changing way faster than they can adapt. They're clinging to the old ways because the new way is just too alien.
Wow. Okay, as we start to wind down this deep dive, I want to bring up a deeply profound thought that crossed the timeline today. It connects everything we've just discussed about old versus new, legacy versus future.
Yeah, this is a great find.
It's a post from Naval. He wrote, "If the child loved the parents as much as the parents loved the child, their passing would be intolerable."
It's a striking observation about the evolutionary design of asymmetry.
It really is.
Nature deliberately designed an emotional asymmetry. The parent gives endlessly, knowing the child is wired to eventually look forward, not backward. If the love were perfectly equal, the younger generation would be completely paralyzed by grief when the older generation passed.
They wouldn't be able to move on.
Exactly. They would be trapped.
And when you look at the technological landscape we've mapped out today, Ethereum fighting off new layer ones, 40-something founders replacing youthful hackers, legacy education refusing to acknowledge AGI, developers clinging to old tribal debates, you see the exact same dynamic playing out.
We are in desperate need of an intellectual asymmetry with AI. We are, in a sense, the parents of this new technological era.
But we're too attached to our creations.
Right. If we remain too deeply attached to our legacy institutions, like our pre-AGI educational systems, our outdated developer tribalism, the old ways of proving our worth through sheer hours of coding rather than taste and direction, the transition into this high-speed agentic future will destroy us.
The friction will just be intolerable.
We have to be willing to let the old paradigms pass away without being paralyzed by the loss of how things used to be. So the provocative question for you, the listener, is this. What legacy skill, what outdated tribal belief are you holding on to that you need to let die so that you can scale into this new reality?
Man, that is a question you'll be wrestling with long after this deep dive ends. But before we go, based on the absolute tidal wave of signals we've tracked today, what is your prediction for the next 48 hours?
Based on Tencent's release of HI3 under that Apache 2.0 license, the chessboard has permanently changed. My prediction is that within 48 hours, we will see a major Western enterprise, likely one that has been unusually quiet on the AI front, announce a complete pivot to an open-source infrastructure model.
They're going to join the open source war.
Yes. They are going to officially declare war on the closed API pricing models of the major labs, realizing that controlling their own ecosystem is the only way to survive the commoditization of the model layer.
The infrastructure wars are literally just getting started, and the leverage is shifting faster than ever. Thank you for joining us today on The Deep Dive. Keep questioning the consensus, stay vigilant on the timeline, and we will see you back here tomorrow.